In the Guatemala of my youth, Volcan Pakaya erupted, and after, I was never the same. My mom agrees. To this day, she says that there was a before Guatemala Jonathon, and there was an after Guatemala Jonathon, which validates Proust's thesis. The real voyage of discovery, he wrote, consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. I remember the first time I climbed Pakaya. It's shocking how flippant the locals are with hiking up to the top. You begin winding up from the base in a chicken bus, brightly colored old American school buses, until reaching where the buses can no longer climb. Then you go to the beginning of the hike. There are Sherpas there, horses too. You can rent a horse if you don't want to do the whole trek on your own 2 feet. It begins as a rainforest, wet and canvas green. The smell of fresh water and fresh dirt. Ants marching below your feet. Massive leaves larger than and taller than your entire body. This one here is a cure for the common cold. This one over here, don't touch that one, the guide says. It's poison. In a word, the hike is fertile. Life erupting out from every corner, splashing up and out into the world from down below. Though then this fertility soon falls away. After a few miles up and up and up, the dirt turns into black sand, a moon, a surface unknown, every step forward, half a step back. Now you understand why the horses. Oh no, don't worry, it's safe. Come on up, the guide says. And so you go. Near the top, you can literally see the lava flowing only feet below you. Careful over there, it'll burn your shoes off, the guide points. Oh.
Right, yeah, it'll burn my shoes off.
This would absolutely 100% not be legal in the United States. There is no way they'd let you get that close to the lava. There would be ropes and gates, do not trespass signs, borders and procedures, but not there, not in Pakaya. Just the locals with their colored cloths and cowboy hats wrangling the tourists up and up and up, toes burning all the while. Phones out, lots of oohs and ahs, a calamity of wow. It's beautiful, it's dangerous, it's hot. Entirely and sometimes frighteningly hot. But then comes sunset. Then sliding back down the black sand. Smiles and more pictures. Man, that was crazy, everyone says. Wow, just wow. Then down, down, down in the darkness with headlamps. The noises changing as the darkness creeps in, altering themselves. The Guatemalan nightingales worshiping their moon. The night shouting its way up saying, hello, make way, I am coming. It's spectacular, it's breathtaking. I did that hike 4 times while I lived there, until I wasn't allowed to. I remember the morning when the rules changed. Pakaya erupted all over Facebook. Then when I walked outside, blackness smoldering, replacing the clouds. Epic, wild, sad. Those guides, the villagers, the natives of their mountain, many of them, did they survive? And then the very same week, a tropical storm from the Great Pacific came. The west meeting the top to rain down a hot rush of mud into even more villages, washing away their houses. Guatemala, where I became a man, I would say, erupting and falling simultaneously. Thousands displaced, hundreds dead, a country reeling. We have to go help, my boss said. Let's gather up what we can and go help. It turned out that we would mostly just get in the way. The NGOs told us that we just should get some bottled water and pass it to all of the aid workers. So that's what we did. The few of us young American co-workers, employees of a startup in Guatemala, a truck full of bottled water. And what we saw there, and what I saw there, was life-changing. The smell of, well, the smell. Entire villages wiped to the ground like an erasing, swoosh. And just like that, millions of tons of mud sliding down, destroying everything in its path. It's all a blur, really. Death smudged every which way, blinding out the details and the lost individuals of their own families to deal with and to worry over. I can't put my finger on any of it, except of what remained of a school bus. I do remember that. Only the top of it visible, a yellow mark below our feet. We were standing on top of the bus, I realized. The ground had been filled with so much mud. It was so extreme. 10 feet of mud, 10 feet at least. I wondered where the children were when all of this happened. Where are they now? Those questions I didn't know the answer to and still don't. Except I do know this, that I am grateful. Grateful for my hands and water. Grateful for the volcano reminding us. Grateful for the rain. Grateful for that village. Grateful that despite the tragedy, there always seems to come redemption. Grateful that despite the death, there always seems to come a turning point. Grateful for what I saw. Grateful that it wasn't me. Grateful to be alive. Just grateful. And also, truthfully, a bit ashamed. Feeling like some tragedy tourist. Ashamed that I was spared. Ashamed that I was learning something from this. How deeply, deeply, embarrassingly privileged I am. Ashamed that my first thought was to write about how I feel. How I feel. What a joke. Because no one really knows why any of that happens. Why volcanoes erupt. Why hurricanes blow. Why droughts plague. Why am I here and they are not? Why, because of where I had grown up and my lack of worldly education, had I spent my entire life thinking that a $5 cup of coffee is a lot, when in fact the miracle of that coffee's existence in the first place is so, again, embarrassingly now obvious, if I just would have thought about it for 5 seconds, that I was overwhelmed by shame. What an ignorant prick I was. And it's absolutely shit that it takes tragedy or serious travel or a death of someone that you love or these life-altering, out of the comfort zone experiences to wake us up to such this is water truths. It is what it is. I wish I had some other means, but sometimes you just have to take a heroic dose. And I think often, if we're honest with ourselves, what we're afraid of is not the newness of any new experience, but the realization that that experience will teach us. What it teaches us in hindsight will be so obvious that any illusions of grandeur that we may have about ourselves will be shot to all hell, and our ego will fear such a humbling. Aha moments level us up, yes, but if and only if they destroy your old self. With what you know now, with what you've just seen, that yesterday version of you is often now embarrassing. And one layer still, now you know that at present, your future self is also probably going to be embarrassed by your present self.
Who are you?
That you are still today, probably in many ways, still ignorant. I still am ignorant right now. Even so, existential dread and spiritual guilt notwithstanding, what we know is this. We know that seeing and experiencing both the good and the bad, coming face to face with the galactic intensity of existence by way of stepping outside of the box, is crucial for us to continue to thrive as a species. Dalai Lama said, once a year, go somewhere you have never been before. Muhammad said, don't tell me how educated you are, tell me how much you have traveled. Because see, here's the thing, travel is fire. Travel can scar you and burn you and tattoo the shit out of your arm if you let it. But you have to sort of ready yourself before you get there if you want the right type of wound. The type which you can someday look at and count on for the rest of your days. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, and now I've never been the same. Travel in this way is a fast forward button. It's a shortcut. Read a book, read a dozen books, hell, read 100 books, watch a movie, a documentary that kicks you in the ass, a conversation at a funeral. These are pivots, they can be, yes, but a well-placed adventure is always a pivot. Traveling to a truly unique place is a wormhole because it's a stacking of wisdom. The whole object of travel, Chesterton said, is not to set foot on foreign land. It is to set foot on one's own country as a foreign land. What I learned in Guatemala, therefore, just through osmosis, rivals every book I have ever read. I still, 15 years later, remember the sharpness of its colors, the loudness of its differences. I hear little old me with all my flags and dogmas and theories and of rights and wrongs, how certain I am of my opinions, all destroyed against the headwind of real new perspective. Everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face, but also everyone's certain of their philosophy until they travel abroad. And yet, so what's the point? What does this all mean for you? Is there something that it is objectively true from all of this? Feeling guilty is not a strategy, I agree. But I can say this, one thing is for certain, that we are all here together, that humans are humans, that despite our differences, or well, because of our differences, here we are. There are tyrants and there is evil in the world, but more often than not, there is instead love and compassion and community and family. And that realization that we are here not to be the same, but to learn from each other's differences, that was a holy grail moment for me. Dialectic over debate, truth over ego, us over me, it depends over I am right. Travel, then real push your limits travel, is not optional for any human who wishes to climb any ladder or be any leader, be it a spiritual, intellectual, emotional, philosophical, artistic, political, or socioeconomic. It is a requirement because we need these slaps in the face. Our brains are not smart enough to find the realizations without them. No book beats an experience. This is why masterminds, business masterminds, are so powerful. It's not for what you learn at them, but for who you meet and what you see. Wow, there's another level, you think. You therefore need these shocking type of experiences to gain the wisdom. There's no other way. And I hear you if economics is a problem. More of my lack of self-awareness, you say. I've been to every state in the United States and all over Europe, and I now live in the Middle East. I have a big company and I get to travel for work. And who am I to say anything to tell people to go travel when half the world just wants something to eat? Fair enough. But in my defense, I am speaking to a particular audience. The prerequisites for most of my lessons are if you're a leader, if you're in a position to help others, if you own a business, or if you're an influencer of others. A CEO does not need the same advice as an employee, obviously. And I'm therefore speaking as such. Even still, if you are listening and it's difficult economically for you to travel, think smaller. If you live in the fields of Georgia, then drive to the water. If you're in the great cities working your bones thick with tar, then take a ferry to the other side of the bay. Ride a horse, day trip to a small town, hike a mountain, look at the stars without lights on, go to a new restaurant, walk the side streets, listen to an open mic, eat something you think you'll despise, say hello to a stranger, see a foreign movie. Travel, like all things, is a fractal. The more extreme, the better, sure. But the more you do it day to day in your daily community, the more you expand your boundaries, the more you'll start to crave it. The more you see, the more you'll want to see. You'll become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because really, travel is just synonymous with newness. It simply means expand your comfort zone. It means that if you are to learn, then avoid the sheltered, cloistered symposiums of your own mind and your own bubbled community. They are not enough at scale. They keep you safe, yes, for now, but they also keep you simple, and they often keep you weak. For while everyone else is out slaying the dragons of their ever-expanding innovations, you are still you, little old you, huddled next to the same old fire forever. Which begs the question, shall you be a hero or the villager waiting to be saved? Because if you want to be any version of that hero, there are gemmed truths, unlearnable without travel, and they are waiting for you. I hope that helped. Thanks for listening. Until next time, cheers.